Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to Part 7 Season 2 What If Izuku Had a Villain Quirk? I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Izuku woke up from his rest, staring up at the brilliant, white ceiling of the hospital. He stretched himself out, wincing a little from the wound on his arm. The teen was glad his quirk had allowed him to be damaged so minimally in the fight against the hero killer. Seeing that Todoroki was not currently in the room, it was the perfect time to talk to his blue-haired classmate. Midoriya hopped up from his bed and strolled over to Tenya, who had noticed his approach and lowered his head. Ida, what you did was incredibly stupid. No matter what reasoning you may have for it, the jungle-haired teen cut off the taller male as he attempted to defend himself. Your brother being attacked does not excuse your recklessness in that situation. I hope that you understand that now. You're one of the most responsible kids in our class, Ida. You can't go around doing something like this again. What if I hadn't heard you? The only reason we managed against the hero killer was because we were in a contained space where my toxin can stay most potent. He takes a deep breath after ranting out his acquaintance. He runs a hand through his hair as he shakes his head. The boy offered his hand towards Ida in a friendly movement. You have the sense and purpose to be an absolutely incredible hero, Ida. Don't ruin it with final words exchanged. Izuku returned to his bed and waited on their doctors to return and receive a prognosis on the wound on his arm. Shoto returned several minutes before the doctors showed up and checked them all out. While he and his heterochromatic friend were mostly fine, Ida's arm had suffered some really bad damage. They were offered several options about what they could do next. Todoroki decided to continue his internship with his father, getting his green-haired friend to agree to return as well. Their classmate revealed he would be staying home with his family while his arm healed. He promised that until he learned to be a proper hero like Midoriya wanted him to, his injured left arm would stay as it was. The duo parted ways with their bespectacled classmate when Endeavor came to retrieve them. The two were instantly scrutinized by Endeavor. The man grudgingly offered his son a compliment on taking down and detaining Stain, choosing to ignore the presence of Izuku completely in that instance. Once they returned to the agency, it was right back on the schedule of training. The green-haired intern was commanded to assist in making sure the youngest Todoroki listened to his father. That was something the duo both snorted at it private. For the remainder of their time at the agency, it was non-stop training for the two with the occasional bit of field work. By the time their internship drew to a close, both of them had grown in power and control. The day one reassembled at their homeroom was one filled with chatter and excitement. Each one had clearly grown at least a little in their internships, no matter how useless some of them had turned out to be. Todoroki, Midoriya, and Momo gathered in their own little corner of the room, conversing between each other. The trio was surprised as Ida joined them in their chat rather seamlessly. The attention of class turned to those of the quartet who had been involved in the Stain attack. Kirishima saying how lucky they were that Endeavor had shown up, much to the chagrin of the two who were really responsible for the rescue. Both did not break the deal with the police chief who helped them, despite hating the fact the number 2 hero got all the credit. The day passed by rather quickly for Class 1A. Hero training arriving in what seemed like minutes rather than hours. All Might led the class towards a new training ground, a factorial-looking maze that looked incredibly irritating to navigate. The symbol of peace explained that the exercise was another rescue drill for them to accomplish. They would be competing to get first in a group of 5 of their classmates. A few moments later, and the first group was created, being composed of Ida, Ajiro, Midoriya, Mina, and Shiro. A beacon was activated and they all bolted to the center. The students who remained at the start began betting on who would get there first, mostly suggesting Shiro or Momo brought up the fact that the jungle-haired boy would probably be winning, pointing up at a flying figure, propelling himself with a combination of red and green gas. A few of the teens worried about what would happen if any of them breathed it in, but Todoroki quietly mentioned that the boy used that gas on him in training, and all it did was stun someone briefly. Relief appeared on the faces of all of them, glad they wouldn't have to worry as much about friendly fire if the emerald-eyed student zipped past them. Meanwhile, in the maze of industrial pipes and buildings, Midoriya flew past Shiro, surprising the boy who was briefly put into a daze by the toxin mixture. He called out an apology as he continued his smooth path towards Toshinori. The male confidently came in for a landing, rolling on the ground to reduce the force of the impact. One by one, the rest of the participants all arrived, his classmates eagerly asking about what happened with Izuku's quirk. The tape quirk user was amazed by his answer, glad the boy had finally found a way to use his quirk unrestricted for the most part at least. Still unused to getting positive attention, the boy tugs up his lab coat to cover his blushing face. After the rest of 1 went, All Might reminded them to continue preparing for their final exams before dismissing them. When they returned to school the next day, Aizawa announced that his students would not be relaxing during the summer vacation but rather training, while camping in the woods. Most of the students all rigorously began to study and practice for the final exams, some in a rather precarious situation as they had hardly been taking notes all semester. Their homeroom teacher announced that they had a week remaining to prepare for the exams, reminding them of the practical portion of them to assure they would train their bodies as well as their minds. Momo announced she'd be happy to help anyone, becoming quite ecstatic at how many people wanted her help. The excited girl began ranting about all the things she would do to prepare her home for them, going a little overboard. At lunch, Izuku and his friends received a rather rude disruption from 1B's resident psychotic jerk, Monoma. The blonde began ranting out one until Kendo finally arrived, knocking the boy out. She was quick to apologize and even shared information about what the practical exam could be. Izuku was extremely skeptical of it just being robots again, sure that UA would not reuse something the students had had a good amount of experience dealing with. As he continued pondering what the practicals would be like, Katsuki suddenly called his name, shocking him for a second. The ashen blonde announced that he and half had better be ready for him to put them in their places before exiting the classroom, slamming the door behind him. Over their last week of preparation, all of 1 studied and trained hard to be ready for whatever their exams had in store for them. By the time the written tests began, Midoriya was sure that he would do well, for the most part at least. Those exams took an exhausting 3 days before the torture was over, only leaving practicals for the heroes in training. The students arrived at the facility they would be taking their practical, confused slightly by the presence of several of the UA teachers being present there. Eraser had prodded them for any information they may have received about the exams, Kaminari and Mina excitedly stating it was robots again. This was denied by their principal, who had wiggled his way out of his hiding place in Aizawa's capture tool. He explained that the students would be doing something to work and improve teamwork. They would all be working in pairs previously decided for them, and they would be facing the heroes standing before them. Every group was specially made for a reason. Nezu stated Todoroki and Bakugo as one, with their opponent being none other than the man who leapt down from the sky. Their opponent was All Might himself. Both boys were shocked and felt their nerves start to fray slightly at the prospect of facing the symbol of peace. They blanched slightly as the hero declared they had better learn to work together well if they wanted to pass their exams. The rest of the pairs were revealed, Izuku being paired with Yaoyorozu against their homeroom teacher. The glint in his black irises sent shivers of fear down their spines, especially since they had seen the combat capabilities of the greasy-haired man. Their classmates felt equal amounts of dread at going up against their pro-hero teachers. The job of the students was to either handcuff the hero they were facing, or for them to escape from the combat zone. A practical exam was a test over their skills and decision-making as much as it was teamwork, especially knowing when one should flee. Shouta was sure to point out his students involved in the stain incident as examples. All Might revealed an accessory made by Hatsum from the support course to handicap the heroes slightly, making it a bit easier on the students. This reminded Midoriya to pass Momo one of the masks May had produced for him, just in case. Kirishima and Sato were first up in the exams, the rest having the option to plan or watch the matches as they progressed. The emitter Quirk duo both moved to plan how they could defeat their teacher. This isn't going to be easy, Momo. He could easily erase either of our quirks at any time, rendering us a good bit weaker. The Viridian-eyed teen put his hands together in deep thought. Kiyama-sensei taught me some martial arts a while back, which I've been slowly improving on, but I haven't been using it much since I haven't taken the opportunity to use it on someone yet. I've been relying quite a bit on my quirk. What about you? I am experienced in handling a couple of weapons, but I'm best with my bow staff. However, with Aizawa's capture tool, it's likely that our attacks will be hard to land. The raven-haired girl sighed as she looked around. Perhaps if we head to the monitor room and watch some of the matches, we could get a better idea of what we're up against. Izuku gives a nod and they quickly make their way to the room to watch the matches before theirs, missing out on Kirishima and Sato's, in which they lost against Cementos. Achako was already present, a worried look on her face at seeing how powerful Cementos was, not eager to see what the others could do. The two that joined her ended up feeling the same, seeing how the teachers were specifically chosen to challenge the quirks of the students. At last, Team Midoriya and Yaoyorozu were up next. As they made their way to the combat zone, both were very nervous. The jungle-haired teen shook it off, reminding himself and his partner they needed to be focused. That is, if they wanted their plan to work. They stood still, whispering between each other as a buzzer rang loudly, declaring their test had begun. It was on. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We The Celestials Naruto What Ifs. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. Secondly, on behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We The Celestials, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be, whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.